What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Zero Lab. We had the rest of the Space-Time Smackdown cards revealed for Pokemon TCG Pocket. And we're going to go over the top 10 Pokemon from that set. We got a lot of great trainers in the set as well, so we'll do a separate video on those, although some of them will be featured in this video talking about how they pair well with these Pokemon. But this is a great set. Obviously, Mythical Island added some cool stuff to the game, but it was a mini set, so it wasn't quite as impactful. But I do think that Space-Time Smackdown is adding a ton to TCG Pocket with a lot of competitive viability and starting to show that TCG Pocket has some legs for the competitive scene as we continue to get more cards. So very excited about that. And today we're going to be going over the top 10 Pokemon from Space-Time Smackdown and how to use them. So this is in no particular order, but these are, I think, the best Pokemon from the set. We're going to start off with this Magnezone for a Lightning and 2 colorless. It has the Thunder Blast attack, does 110 damage, and you discard a Lightning Energy from this Pokemon. It is a Stage 2, has 140 HP. 110 damage is some pretty good damage output. And this thing attacks really cheaply, actually, because we have the Magneton that it evolves from the Genetic Apex set that has the Volt Charge ability that says once during your turn, you may take a Lightning Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to this Pokemon. So as we're evolving up into the Magnezone, we have an ability that is already attaching Lightning Energy to ourselves to make this attack cost a lot cheaper. So we're going to be able to Thunder Blast by the time we evolve up into this Magnezone for 1 energy per turn, because we do have to discard a Lightning Energy, but then it's just a manual attachment back on for turn to do another 110 next turn. So I do think this combo can pair very, very well, depending, of course, on the meta. We know fighting types get a little bit better from a card that we will be showing later on in the video. And so maybe Lightning's day is a little bit numbered. Maybe not, though. So this Magnezone is, I think, the best Lightning-type Pokemon from the set. Pairs really well with a card that we already have from Genetic Apex. And I think this could be a competitively viable deck. So, yeah, number 1 is Magnezone. Again, no particular order, but that's the first one we're looking at. The next ones here are the Uxie, Mesprit, and Azelf combination that we have coming out in Space-Time Smackdown. They are all basic Pokemon with 70 HP, all psychic types. The Uxie has an attack that is Mind Boost for 1 psychic energy, does 20 damage, and you take an energy from your energy zone and attach it to Mesprit or Azelf. The Azelf has the Psychic Arrow attack that does 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon anywhere on the board, so bench or active. And then the Mesprit is where it really all comes together. For 3 psychic energy, the Mesprit does Supreme Blast. You can use this attack only if you have Uxie and Azelf on your bench. Discard all energy from this Pokemon. So I do think this is a really interesting deck. You power up the Mesprits with Uxie, and then Supreme Blast for 160. That's a ton of damage on a basic 1 prize Pokemon. That we're just powering up through our Uxie. So I do think that can be really, really strong. Obviously, you could only use the Supreme Blast 1 time, so maybe this deck won't really fully come together, but that's just such a strong attack on a basic 1 prizer. For 3 energy, where you're already accelerating that energy with the Uxie. So I do think these cards are very, very interesting and could become a competitive deck. I think the limiting thing will be their dark weakness and the fact that they only have 70 HP. That will make things tough. It's pretty easy to one-shot the Uxie, one-shot the Mesprit, and then, yeah, they get 1 big attack off, but that might not be quite enough. Moving on here, we have the new Manaphy. It is a basic type, or has a basic water type with 50 HP, has the Oceanic Gift attack for 1 water. Choose 2 of your benched Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, take water energy from your energy zone and attach it to that Pokemon. Now, this is really huge. We have seen a lot of energy acceleration in the game. However, we have always seen it be type specific. Manaphy does not specify that you have to attach it to water Pokemon or basic Pokemon or anything. It's just choose 2 of your bench Pokemon and take a water energy from your energy zone and attach it to that Pokemon. So obviously we can use Manaphy to power up things like Gyarados EX, Articuno EX, the new Palkia EX, if we're interested in that, although I think Articuno and Gyarados are both better than the Palkia. But we also can use it to power up Dragonite, one of the best attackers in the game with that Draco Meteor attack. Just such an expensive attack cost, and we never had a great way to power it up except to manually attach to it. Now we can use this Oceanic Gift on the Manaphy to start powering up 2 Dragonites at the same time, get 2 Dratini's down, Oceanic Gift onto them, Draco Meteor, one of the strongest attacks in the game, especially when you're able to use it multiple times. And then there's other Pokemon, like any normal type EXs that are good. Mew EX as well, attacks for all colorless energy. Oceanic Gift can attach to those, so Wigglytuff is one of my favorite attackers in the game. Doing 80 and putting things to sleep is very strong, and now we have a great way to accelerate energy to it in the Manaphy. So tons of applications for this Manaphy. I think this card is very good. Again, that 50 HP could be a little bit of a problem, easy to knock out. Pretty early in the game, so you might only get 1 Oceanic Gift off, but if you can get multiple Oceanic Gifts off to power up all of these different types of Pokemon that you can now power up with Manaphy, I think this card is very, very strong. Moving on to the Lucario, fighting types have struggled a little bit in the game. Admittedly, I've been pretty low on all of the fighting types in general, but now we have this Lucario with the Fighting Coach ability that says attacks used by your fighting type Pokemon do plus 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And has the Submarine Blow attack for 2 fighting, does 40 damage. But really, we're here for the ability. This ability stacks, so if you have 2 Lucario in play, you're doing plus 40 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. We have some really great economical fighting type attackers to take advantage of this ability. First of all, we have the Hitmonchan. For just 1 energy, has Jab on a basic, does 30 to the active. If you have 2 Lucarios out, you're now doing 70 for 1 on a basic. That seems really, really strong. We also have the Primeape that has the punch attack for 1. This came out in Mythical Island. If we have 2 Lucarios in play, we're now doing 90 for 1 fighting energy. We also have the Marshadow that came out in Mythical Island with the Revenge attack, where if one of your Pokemon was knocked out by damage from an attack during your opponent's last turn, this attack does 60 more damage. So doing 100 damage with 1 Lucario in play, that's doing 120. With 2 Lucarios in play, you're now doing 140. So that's really interesting. And then another thing we could pair it with is the Kabutops, which has always been sort of an interesting attacker. It has the Leech Life attack where you heal from this Pokemon the same amount of damage you did to your opponent's active Pokemon. It does 50. Now we can boost that to 70 or 90 with the Lucario. And doing 70 or 90 and then healing that same amount from our Kabutops can be really, really strong. I think the limiting factor here will be because the fact that Kabutops is a stage 2. But this Lucario opens up a lot of doors for the fighting type in the game, and I think there's many more options than even the ones I showed here that you can use this Lucario with. The Aerodactyl EX, for example, is one that comes to mind as well. So yeah, this Lucario is very, very strong. Then we have the Weavile EX. I think this card is really cool. It has the Scratching Nails attack for 1 Dark Energy. It does 30, and if your opponent's active Pokemon has any damage on it, this attack does 40 more damage. So 70 for 1 energy is really strong. Obviously, you have that condition of having damage already on the Pokemon. There's a lot of ways to do that and a lot of ways to take advantage of damage on Pokemon already. So obviously, we could start off with Wheezing in the active. We could Gas Leak and Tackle and set up damage that way and then finish things off with Weavile. And Koga Wheezing has always been a really good strategy in the game. We also have this new Spiritomb, which has the Swirling Disaster attack for 1 colorless energy. This attack does 10 damage to each of your opponent's Pokemon. So going second, we just do 10 damage to each of our opponent's Pokemon. Then we already have that damage on them to then go into our Weavile on the following turn and you start using that Scratching Nails attack. That pairs really well with the new Cyrus card as well. It's a supporter card that says switch in one of your opponent's bench Pokemon that has damage on it to the active spot. So targeted Gust in the game with this Cyrus, but only 2 Pokemon that already have damage counters on them. So we set up those damage counters on all of the Pokemon on the board with Spiritomb, and then we have increased the power of our Scratching Nails attack, and we can use the Cyrus to target down whatever we want. We also have the Greninja from Genetic Apex, which is also very good and can pair well with the Weavile and Cyrus. Once during your turn, you may do 20 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon, so we amp up the damage output of the Scratching Nails with the Water Shuriken, and that unlocks Cyrus as well to target down things on the bench. And then finally, we have another really cool card coming out in the set that we'll talk about a little bit more later, but the Darkrai EX has the Nightmare Aura ability. Whenever you attach a Dark Energy from your Energy Zone to this Pokemon, do 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And obviously, we can spare those energy attachments onto our Darkrai EX because our Weavile only attacks for 1 Dark Energy. And so we can start using our other energy attachments per turn once we've powered up our Weavile with just that one energy to attach to this Darkrai and do more damage to our opponent's active Pokemon. So I think there's something really cool to do with Weavile EX. There's a ton of options. I think this card is very, very good. Moving on, we have the Dialga EX. It has the Metallic Turbo attack for 30 damage for 2 Metal Energy. Take 2 Metal Energy from your Energy Zone and attach it to one of your bench Pokemon. And then the Heavy Impact attack for 2 Metal and 2 Colorless does 100 damage. It's 150 HP basic EX, so very, very strong HP. And this attack is very strong. Just like the Manaphy, it is not type-specific who we attach these Metal Energies to, so we can use this attack to power up anything that has colorless energy in its attack cost. We have Tauros from the Mythical Island set with the Fighting Tackle attack for 3 colorless energy, does 120 damage to EXs. We have, again, one of my favorite colorless EXs, the Wigglytuff EX with that Sleepy Song attack we can power up. We have the new Lickilicky EX with 160 HP. For 4 colorless energy, it does 100 damage plus 40 more damage for each heads you flip, and you flip until you get tails. So I think that's a really strong attacker coming out in this set, and Metallic Turbo is a great way to power it up. And we can just even power up another Dialga EX and use Heavy Impact as well. And then we have the Melmetal that people sort of tried to make work from Genetic Apex, but there was never a great way to accelerate energy onto it. 130 HP stage 1. With the hard code ability, this Pokemon takes 20 less damage from attacks, and then the Heavy Impact attack for 4 energy does 120. Just never had a great way to power this guy up, but now we do. I think Dialga is great, and there's a ton of options for this Dialga as well. Choosing what you want to power up. Power up Mew EX, power up Tauros, power up Wigglytuff, Lickilicky, Melmetal, other Dialgas. Anything you want to power up that has colorless energy or metal energy in the attack cost, Metallic Turbo can get you there. So I'm really excited to see energy acceleration that is not both type specific of the energy and type specific of which Pokemon you can attach it to coming out in the game. I think that's really, really strong. Then we have the Garchomp. We finally have a draw ability in the game. It is a stage 2, of course, so it can take a little bit to get it out, but it has 140 HP. It has the Reckless Shearing ability. You must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw a card. Very strong draw power in TCG Pocket on this ability. Then it has the Dragon Claw attack for 100 damage for a water and a fighting. And it can pair really well with the new Cynthia card. Cynthia says during this turn, attacks used by your Garchomp or Togekiss do plus 50 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So Dragon Claw doing 150 damage, knocking out Mewtwo EXs, knocking out Dialga EXs, knocking out Pikachu EXs, knocking out Celebi EXs, knocking out all the EXs you really want to knock out, except maybe some of the stage 2s, maybe something like Executor EX. But this is a very strong card, and having a draw ability finally in the game is super, super exciting. And talking about Cynthia, we have another card to pair with Cynthia, and that is the Togekiss. Stage 2 Psychic-type Pokemon with 140 HP, has the Overdrive Smash attack for 2 Psychic Energy, does 60 damage, and during your next turn, this Pokemon's Overdrive Smash attack does 60 more damage. So that's 120 damage on your next turn. Pair that with Cynthia, you're going to be doing 170 damage with that plus 50. And I think this is really, really, really strong. We obviously have the Mythical Slab to help us find our evolutions. The Togepi, the Togetic, and the Togekiss are all psychic types, so the Mythical Slab is going to help you find your evolutions. I also think the Giant Cape is an interesting thing to pair with the Togekiss. The Pokemon this card is attached to gets plus 20 HP. That'll help us survive some hits. Obviously, things like Mewtwo do 150 damage, and so with the Giant Cape, we have 160 HP. That means we're going to be able to utilize our Overdrive Smash attack twice the way we want to, 60 the first time and 120 the second time. So I think this card is really, really cool. I'm a big Togekiss fan myself, so happy to see potentially a really strong Togekiss card revealed. Then we have the Lickilicky EX. We talked about this already a little bit, but it's a normal type Pokemon, 160 HP, with the Licking Fury attack for 4 colorless energy, does 100 damage, and you flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 40 more damage for each head. So even if we only flip 1 heads, we're doing 140 damage, and that's pretty good. And we have 2 great ways coming out in the set to power this guy up. We already talked about the Manaphy with the Oceanic Gift attack, and the Dialga EX with the Metallic Turbo. So I do think Lickilicky is a really cool, tanky, heavy hitter potentially in this set. So I think this card is very, very good. I believe All right, we have two more that I wanted to talk about. We have this new Shaymin. It's a basic grass-type Pokemon with the Fragrant Flower Garden ability. Once during your turn, you may heal 10 damage from each of your Pokemon. And then the attack doesn't matter. It's all about that healing ability. If we have two Shaymin in play, we can heal 20 damage from each of our Pokemon per turn. And with grass Pokemon, we have a ton of healing power. We can heal 50 damage from one of our grass Pokemon with Erica. Then we have potions as well that heal 20 damage from one of our Pokemon. I think Shaymin is the perfect partner for Executor EX. We just play a 2-2 Executor line and a 2 Shaymin and a bunch of trainers. And we are in a very good spot to just tank and heal with the Executor EX. Obviously, you could pair this with Venusaur EX as well, but that's a little bit harder to power up and evolve up into. And the Executor, I think, is the perfect partner here. We get two Shaymins out. We're healing 20 per turn with the Fragrant Flower Garden ability. Plus, we have our Ericas and our potions, and then we're just pumping out consistent damage output, 40 or 80 damage per turn with the Executor EX. I think this card is really, really cool. And finally, we have the Darkrai EX. We already talked about this a little bit when we talked about Weavile, but I think this card is also very strong. It has the Nightmare Aura ability. Whenever you attach a dark energy from your energy zone to this Pokemon, do 20 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. And I think we have the ability to make a pretty cool sort of spread type deck with this. We could just lead with the Wheezing, have Gas Leak to Poison, do Tackle for 30, and then continually be attaching energies to the Darkrai EX to do even more damage. Plus, we can build up some Greninjas with the Water Shuriken ability to do even more damage. So, excuse me. I think Darkrai EX has a ton of potential. There are a bunch of ways you can just pump out more damage on your turn using these abilities. Poison, Nightmare Aura, Water Shuriken. You're doing, if we just Water Shuriken the active, use Nightmare Aura for turn, Gas Leak to Poison, and then do Tackle. Between Nightmare Aura doing 20, Water Shuriken doing 20, that's 40. The Poison doing 10, that's 50. And Tackle doing 30, that's 80 damage per turn with our Wheezing in the active that we can then just Koga up and use another Wheezing. That's pretty cool. Obviously very combo dependent, but yeah, I think that Darkrai is very strong, and that Nightmare Aura ability has many, many uses. So super, super, super excited about this set coming out tomorrow on TCG Pocket. I can't wait to get my hands on these cards and start building some decks. I think this is the excitement that I needed back in the game. Mythical Island was really cool, but it didn't quite add enough to keep me interested long term. But this set is super great. There's a ton of things I can't wait to try out, and I am excited to see what we can pull tomorrow in TCG Pocket when this set comes out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. A reminder that we are giving away a Prismatic Evolutions ETB at the end of February if we've hit 1,000 subscribers by then. So don't forget to subscribe, like, comment what you think about these new cards. But I am super excited for the future of Pocket.